dirty. And we do have... Wow!
Oh no!
You gotta be kidding
Oh
me.
my goodness!
Last week at Talladega, we witnessed the craziest race of the year, with Fireball King Racing's Genius D'Amelio claiming victory after 53 laps and 3 overtime attempts. Today, however, we are in New Hampshire, a race that hopefully should be a little bit normal, and a race where championship leader Nathan Stapleton can, for all intents and purposes, seal the deal for the 2025 season. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to qualifying for round 31 of the 2025 PSRLA Cup Series, race 9 of the playoffs. Hello everybody, my name is Alexa Vitale. Yeah, to describe everything that has happened last week at Talladega, we'd be writing an entire book. But to make it a very, very, very long story short, it took us 3 overtime attempts for Genius D'Amelio to claim victory. His first victory in a Cup car, and his first victory since the Grand National Series last year. So, yeah. And to make matters even better for Fireball King Racing, Tanner Parton finished 3rd. Of course, there was Bruno Di Giacomo, who came very close once again in winning another race after the 2500, spoiling the potential 1-2 for Fireball King Racing. But considering the horrible performances that the team has had, I don't think D'Amelio minds all that much. Either Parton nor D'Amelio mind all that much. At the end of the day, both cars finished in the podium, so yeah, it is a very, very good result. But most importantly, what came from Talladega is the championship implications. And to quickly run down the standings, Nathan Stapleton is the leader of the championship and now is 21 points clear of second place Jonathan Carrison. 3rd is Andrew Williams with 37, and Jeffrey Fingai is down in 4th with 41 points. Basically a race win plus bonus points. So for the purposes, Stapleton has this championship in the bag, unless something major happens. If he has a solid race here in New Hampshire, essentially North Wilkesboro is going to be, for all purposes, a walk in the park for the Rhode Island Motorsports driver. And of course, as we stated after the race at Talladega, unfortunately, Lara Kashmir, Bryce Egan, Philip Torres, Rory Crown Jr., Reggie Fogelman, and Troy Williams Jr. officially say goodbye to any hopes of winning the championship. So, for intents and purposes, these guys will be fighting for glory and for a better spot in the playoff standings. But yeah, and speaking of New Hampshire, as we stated time and time again, this was supposed to be the championship finale, but for problems at this point, everybody knows it's not. It's gonna be it's the penultimate race. But again, it's if Stapleton has a good run, and potentially if Carrison and everybody else have awful runs, this could be the race that effectively clinches Stapleton the championship. But of course, we will see once we get there. And another bit of news, as we teased at Talladega, we got some changes in the lineup. Skep Silver, who failed to qualify at Talladega for Vision Motorsports, will be starting his first race at the 70 Aegis Motorsports Toyota, replacing Danny Johnson, the banned Danny Johnson. Of course, we'll see what Silver's performance can do in a full-time car. And also, replacing Skep Silver, Matthew Hubert called in the services of Emily York Watson. And the rookie will be competing only this race because this is effectively the 14 cars last race. So we will see what kind of performances the newcomer can do. And in terms of PS Motorsports, in terms of Aubrey Gardner, unfortunately Charlie Davenport hasn't been able to find the replacement, so Gardner will still occupy the 24 car, even though, if you've been following the ongoings in the server, Gardner was also banned from the PSRLA Discord server, but considering he was one of the most vocal Because he was pretty. He was was pretty displeased with the league as it was going. I doubt him. Alongside Johnson, I doubt he minds all that much. But yeah, in terms of pre-qualifying, I didn't have to say this. It's the usual suspects with the addition of Watson instead of Silver. But yeah, and of course William Donuts has raced his last race at Talladega, so he won't be racing here. So we have 7 cars for the top for the top 5 spots. So let's see what's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. Guess what? It's time for pre-qualifying, and Hunter Mendoza will be the first one out on track. There's the 14 car of Emily York Watson as Mendoza is exiting the pits to join the track. Of course, first race at New Hampshire for a lot of these guys, because the Cup Series never went here in 2024. As Mendoza begins his banker lap, and there's I think Bradley Ream leaving the pits as well as Mendoza begins his flying lap. Ream is leaving the pits. And let's see what time Mendoza is going to do. Around turn number 4, and it's going to be a 31.5 for Mendoza. Of course, Bradley Ream started his banker lap. Ream started his banker lap. Let's see, somebody else is out. Jack Haas, RP Garner are out. As Robbie Gardner 41.6 for the PS Motorsports driver. Let's see what time Bradley Ream is going to do, and the time is going to be a 31.5. So second place for Bradley Ream as Hunter Mendoza improved this time. Let's see Jack Haas. Jack Haas 41.7 as Gardner improves to second place, as Watson is leaving the pits alongside Samarowska, and Tanner Pardon is also leaving. But right now Mendoza is leading the charge. Let's see if he can improve the time, and he does improve 30.9 for Mendoza. So does Ream 41.2. Let's see Jack Haas and RB Gardner, and Haas is going to be 41.2, and Gardner does improve his time as Emily York Watson begins her first time lap. At least I believe it's a time lap and not a banker lap. Of course, we will focus on her first ever time in anger here in New Hampshire, and a first and only time, because as we stated, this is the only race, the last race for the 14 car. As Tanner Pardon also scores his banker lap, and let's see what time she's going to do. 5th, 31.5. Immediately dropped by Osken. She's now in 6th, as Mendoza actually managed to improve to 30.8 in the meantime, and he does not improve. Does Bradley Ream improve? No, and Tanner Pardon is now in 5th. Let's see what time Jack Haas is going to do. Is Haas going to improve their time? Yes, up to 3rd, 31 flat. Can Watson improve her time? Yes, she does, 30.8. She's now up to 2nd, as Oskan is down in 7th. And of course, out of qualifying. Mendoza, can Mendoza improve his time? The answer is no. Can Ream or Pardon improve theirs? I think Ream did improve. I don't think Pardon didn't. Let's see Haas. Can Haas improve their time, or Gardner for that matter? Neither of them improved their time. And Emily York Watson jumps into pole position with a big time, 2/10 faster than Hunter Mendoza as they go to overtime. So right now Watson is impressing on her first ever attempt at pre-qualifying here. Of course, we will see what kind of time she's going to do in qualifying as Brother Ream is now out on the bubble. Let's see what his teammate Jack Haas is going to do. Right now Haas doesn't have much time to actually score a time. Last overtime attempt. Let's see what Ream is going to do. And Ream is going to not improve his time. Let's see if Haas is going to improve his time. And the answer is going to be no, he does not improve. Watson does not improve her time, but it doesn't matter. So that effectively means Jack Haas and Samaroskan are out of qualifying, while Emily York Watson, Hunter Mendoza, Aubrey Gardner, Tanner Parton, and Bradley Ream will go through the main event. Watson is already improving. It's already impressing on her first time around. But of course, we will see what kind of performance she's going to do in qualifying. And with that, see you in qualifying. And there are multiple drivers leaving the pits. There's Aubrey Garner and Hunter Mendoza. And already damage on the 24 car of Gardner as Perez and Trey Davenport are leaving the pits. As more drivers are leaving. And I would assume that Gardner will try and fix the damage. In fact, he immediately gets back into the pits to fix the car. As Mendoza looks like he's going to be the first driver once again to score a time first. As Tom Sloan is leaving the pits. Mendoza, of course, in his first ever race here in New Hampshire. As is a good chunk of the drivers that were not in 2023, including, of course, all the World National Series drivers that did not race here. Because actually, I don't think there was a race at all in New Hampshire for the World National Series race, so that explains it. As Mendoza takes a provisional pole, of course. As now Charlie Davenport takes pole position away from Mendoza, but of course, here's the big hitters. Here's Nathan Stapleton. Stapleton is provisional pole for the championship leader and potential champion, as Kyle Sashter goes third fastest, Philip Torres goes second fastest. As we got a bit of a bagarre between the three Fords of Ream, Evans, and Beal. Evans has damage to his car. As Davenport is now in fifth. The new owner of PS Motorsport. Let's see if Stapleton can improve his time, and the answer looks to be no. But Sashtra, Torres, and Tom Sloan did improve their times. Actually, no, Sloan was the first time that he pulled in, as Avery Alpha goes third fastest, dropping Sloan down to fifth. Let's see, Guillermo Bedell, the almost hero at Talladega, started last. Actually made it all the way back to second, I believe, and then unfortunately he had not enough fuel to make it to the end, as he takes provisional pole position, as Torres improves to second place, dropping Stapleton down to third. Of course, Movedel, as now Avery Alford takes pole position. Alford, who looks pretty much poised to win the Best of Race Championship away from Zachary Fitzwater. Zachary Fitzwater, who right now is as at the edge of the top 10, as Koshmar leaves the pits. There's Andrew Williams, one of the few playoff drivers that actually had a decent race at Talladega, if I remember correctly. And bit of a moment with Carson Miller. Carson Miller almost crashed into the wall, but fortunately no serious consequences. In the meantime, the top 10 is Movadell, Alford, Roberto Crown Jr., Tom Sloan, and Philip Torres. Stapleton drops down to 8th because more drivers, as Ryan Little actually improved, because more drivers actually improved the time, including Ryan Little and Allinson Jr. as Zachary Fitzwater takes pole position, as Alford is in second. There's second place in the standings, Jonathan Carrison, who of course is hoping for a bad result on Stapleton's part to keep the championship alive. Right now he's going to want 21 points, sure, but considering how close the standings are, it's those 21 points are not exactly easy to climb, and right now Carrison is not having a good qualifying at all. As and never mind, he's now down. He's now up to 8th. He was down in 20th, which you saw there, but now he's managed to recover back to 8th. And here's Jeffrey Finguy, the guy that was leading the championship until Daytona, as I'm pretty sure everybody knows. He didn't even finish the race at Daytona. He didn't even start the race at Daytona, for that matter. As there's Skep Silver, first race for Aegis Motorsports after the banning of Denny Johnson. And right now, he's down in 27th, so not a good result for Silver on his first ever outing. As we check out on Emily York Watson, she is in 19th on her first ever race, which is really impressive. But also not much considering just how good the Visual Motorsports cars have been, especially with Avery Alford late in this late part of the year, as Movadell is still leading the standings with Alexander Rowe in second. Then it's Tom Sloan in third, Zachary Fitzwater in fourth, from Roberto Crown Jr. in fifth. Of course, Crown out of any serious fight for the championship, as is Gary Movadell for its purposes. Even though Movadell is 72 points, so right now he needs a miracle here in New Hampshire to actually came back to the to actually fight for the championship. But at this point, Stapleton, I don't think Stapleton will have to worry about much. Actually, now the thing you should worry about is the position right now. He's down in 23rd, so I will assume maybe the pressure of the championship is already making its mark. But of course, it's qualifying, and Stapleton has proven that he's way better in the race than in qualifying. So I don't think that's gonna worry him too much. But in the meantime, look at Zachary Fitzwater. He's up to fourth. Sorry, Fitzwater, who also he has to go for Alford to trip up spectacularly during the race to have any chances of winning the Best of the Rest championship from Avery Alford. Avery Alford is now in 9th, as Carson Miller is leaving the pits, and also Jeffrey Finguy 13th. Not a good result for the defending champion, as right now the top 10 is, and of course, Genius D'Amelio, the shock winner at Talladega last week, and unfortunately he has gone back to a qualifying position that is unfortunately more accurate to the performances of the car than Talladega was. He's down in 34th, better of course than his teammate and a partner who's right now going to be starting shotgun in the field alongside Aubrey Gardner. But in the meantime, Stapleton actually manages to get claimed back up to second, so he's not done yet. But of course, I would assume Movadell is a bit too far away to try and take pole position away from. Movadell using the draft from Tom Sloan, and a draft at New Hampshire. That's kind of a weird concept, but whatever. As Stapleton does improve, but not by much. Stapleton improves this time. And right now the top 10 is Guillermo Vidal, Nathan Stapleton, Alexander Rowe, Tom Sloan, Tucker Fitzwater, Jonathan Carrison, Roberto Crown Jr., Angel Gutierrez, Avery Alford, and Lana Koshmar as both Luke Evans and Tom Sloan get into the pits. Let's see if Vidal is going to prove his time. 1 minute and 10 left on the clock, and the answer is going to be no. And Nathan Stapleton doesn't prove his time, nor does Alexander Rowe. There's Eric Monaco. Eric Monaco is starting, will be right now he's in 27th, while Duncan Ward is all the way down in 29th, while Watson on her first race, she's 17th, so great result for the Vision Motorsports car, and for a car that looks almost exactly the same, Gutierrez is in 8th, so top 10 start position for the Mexican driver. There's Zane Davidson, another early driver that was lead the championship at one point. Right now he's in 12th. There's Philip Torres, who's right now in 20th. There's Mario Di Giacomo, second at Talladega. And the driver that spoiled the potential Fireball King 1-2 finish at last week. There's Anthony Nicol, who has had what can only be described basically as a moment of glory at Talladega in a year that he hasn't. A year that has been pretty lean. Sorry, Len is like Len is a short version of Evelyn, and also a Fire Emblem character. Apologies for that, but yeah, still good result for Anthony Nicol. There's Brandon Beal, who's actually showed really good performances in this last couple of races. Actually, where is Movidal? Movidal is Movidal on track? There he is. As we go to overtime, and I doubt standings are going to be changing all that much. So Movidal should be starting on pole position. Of course, Movidal would have to hope for a miracle to keep the championship alive. Stapleton, of course, will have to keep out of trouble, as we've been stating pretty much this entire time. And Guillermo Vidal was starting on pole position alongside Nathan Stapleton. Alexander Rowe will start in 3rd. Tom Zola will be 4th. Zachary Fitzwater in 5th. Championship hopeful Jonathan Carrison, one of the few remaining will be starting in 6th. Roberto Crown Jr. will be starting in 7th. Angel Gutierrez will be starting in 4th. Avery Alford in 9th, and Lana Koshmar is in 10th. And Emily York Watson will start her first ever race in 15th. Skep Silver will start his first race for Aegis Motorsports all the way down in 42nd. And running up the rear of the field will be Aubrey Gardner and Tanner Parton, the first place driver at Talladega last week. And so Guillermo Vidal will be starting a pole position with Nathan Stapleton alongside him. Movidal at this point, he's still mathematically in it, but I doubt he'll actually count for. I doubt he'll be a real threat for the championship unless a miracle happens. So yeah, all Stapleton needs to worry about is to keep Carrison behind them, and they should be golden not only for this race but also for next week in North Wilkesboro. And running up the rear of the field will be Aubrey Gardner and Tanner Parton. To nobody's surprise, I would assume. To everybody's surprise, or maybe not, depends on who you ask, Emily York Watson will be starting on 15th, a top 20 spot on her first ever race, and only ever race here in the PSRLA, because as well now, this is the last race for the 14 car, and also the last race, and also the second to last race of the PSRLA's existence. So let's see what she's going to do in the race proper. But from qualifying, this is going to be it. And I have nothing else to say other than this has been a special presentation of the 2025 PSRLA Cup Series 44/7 Network. I'm Alex Vitale, and see you tomorrow for the race. So long, everybody, from Loudon.